Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Danielle Wiggins with the Go Morning Show team, members of it, Maureen Kyle, Jasmine Monroe, and Austin Love, because we are still processing the events that happened in Washington, D.C. as protesters, rioters really stormed the Capitol building. But we've had a number of updates and developments overnight, and we want to get to those. And we, of course, want to hear from you. Remember, this is an open conversation, so please feel free to post your comments in the section for the comment section there, and we'll work those in as we talk. But Maureen, we've been all on this all night, and you have the latest nuts and bolts of what has happened overnight.
Yeah, and I think by now everybody has seen the video of what happened yesterday, and that was afternoon and overnight since you've been sleeping at 3:45 a.m. So the senators got back on the floor, they went back to work, and they all affirmed, well, the electoral college votes were counted, so they affirmed Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as the next president and vice president of the United States. So that happened at, I mean, when you think about it, 3:45 in the morning. They got back on the floor at 8 o'clock last night. So they worked a lot of long hours. The other thing is, as you may know, yesterday evening by probably 7:30-ish, President Trump's social media accounts were suspended at varying times depending on the platform. So he was not able to tweet. He was not able to issue any more statements. But this morning, he did issue a statement through his aide, Dan Scavino. And this is what it reads. Even though I totally disagree with the outcome of the election and the facts bear me out, nevertheless, there will be an orderly transition on January 20th. So he is saying that he will have an orderly transition of power to President-elect Joe Biden. So those are the updates that you may have missed if you're just waking up and checking your phone.
Yeah, so again, continue to comment, let us know. So as Mo said, that those electoral votes have been confirmed, Congress has, and President Trump, for the first time, I guess, not conceding, but acknowledging that he's going to transition power on January 20th. And really, Austin, you were able to talk with some protesters from Northeast Ohio who actually went to DC, and then you really met them overnight as they returned. What was their perspective of what happened?
Yeah, so I'll get into my morning, I think maybe first, and then kind of go into that, just kind of maybe set a perspective. I've had an interesting morning, guys. So I'm running on about 2 hours of sleep. I've had a number of these coffees. I was in Chardon at 12:45 this morning to 12:30 to welcome in this bus and try to talk to them. And we were invited by this bus. I had been texting with people on the bus. They were, even a few were featured in Mark Namick's story at 11. So there's been clear communication with the people on this bus, and granted, the man I was talking to, a nice, genuine guy, but when we arrived, we were under the impression that they knew that we would be there. Apparently, some people didn't get the memo and were pretty upset that we were there, with video cameras, we're, television station. And actually, the police were called on us earlier this morning.
Oh, wow.
Before about 1 o'clock. Yeah, they called the police on us because we were there, and we were on private property, but we were invited to the private property. And then so I had an interview already set up with this gentleman, and we ended up just going across the street and on the sidewalk and everything like that. But that just kind of sets the tone of a lot of tension, I think, coming off of this bus from Washington. I guess I'll give them maybe the benefit of the doubt. They've been up since, their bus left at 3 a.m. on yesterday, and it was 12:45 on a bus for a long day. So regardless, that was my start to the morning today. So that was a little shocking, especially since we thought that they knew that we were coming. So regardless, so we'll talk about this local group that left yesterday. They left around 3 a.m. They went to protest the outcome of the election. In their point of view, it was unfair, it was fraudulent. So they wanted to go to this Trump rally outside of the White House, which we've talked about. And, from just hearing their perspective was interesting because because I think only before this, I had only seen everything that took place on of the riots and everything like that. But their perspective of it was he even said, and you can see it at WKYC, the person I talked to said that it was a peaceful day. It was a great day, and saying that it was a most peaceful day you've ever seen in your life. It wasn't a bit of problem until the knuckleheads got into the Capitol steps. So in their opinion, it was a good day until it wasn't a good day, of course. But they witnessed it from the National Mall, seeing the protesters, first the rioters, go into the Capitol, and then again the tear gas being shown. He said that he saw people running away with tear gas in their eyes, and we have a full report on this on our website, wkyc.com. I encourage you to go take a look. It's also on Twitter and Facebook as well. But I think the one good thing that I took away from maybe some shocking remarks that I might have heard, saying that this was a good day overall, which I was like, I don't know if you can necessarily, I think a lot of people, of course, would object to that. He did say that, which gave me some comfort, said that going forward, the election is over. President Biden, or President-elect Biden, will be inaugurated. He'll be our president. And now it's just time for America to heal and move forward, which ultimately gave me peace doing this interview, because I think that's what everyone wants. And I have no problem, going out and protesting is if you don't think it's right, but because that's your right to do that. But when it becomes these riots and this violence, and especially storming our nation's capital, it's the first time I think since the 1814 when the British did it or something like that. That's where obviously this just draws the line. So it was a little shocking to hear to say that it was a great day, because it just simply wasn't.
One of the things, Austin, from the interview, that one of the sound bites, or what we call the sound bites that we pull out for those who are like, what is the sound bite? You hear him saying that, it was just a small group of like 30 people. And you look at the video and you're like, no, it was a little bit more than that.
It certainly was. And I was, scratching my head when he was saying that. And he said that he left there. They started to go towards the bus around 3 or 3:30. It hadn't gotten out of control maybe at that point. So I guess I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I wasn't there. I don't know his perspective. That's his perspective. That's what he was saying. But the video definitely tells otherwise.
Yeah. It was about 2:30 when, so just as a time frame, it was about 2:30 when people started breaking into the Capitol building yesterday.
So while watching this, like many of Americans, I was just sitting at home, and I just wanted to know how people felt after seeing some of those pictures. People in Nancy Pelosi's office taking podiums, sitting at the desk with their feet up, taking, confidential mail from people's desks. That's a felony when you deal with mail too. So those are some of the things that happened. But the responses, I put this post up and I had 54 comments in like less than 20 minutes. It was incredible. Everyone just pretty much said that they were disgusted and embarrassed. One of the things that stood out most to me was a comment from Molly. Let me find it. She just pretty much described what a lot of people were feeling. She said she was outraged, she's sick, saddened, embarrassed, angry, and concerned for the exposure of our country to our enemies. I think that's a lot of things that people are saying, how it was so easy to get inside of the Capitol, a place that was supposed to be very well protected, especially on the terms of, what's going on in the nation with what's happening with the pandemic. It just turned for the worse very quickly. A lot of people compared it to the Black Lives Matter protests where there were National Guards on the steps. They compared the two in the both. They said this is a tale of two Americas. Just watching that from at home, you can tell that things were handled a totally different way, and people have different opinions. And some people are sitting at home watching, saying, I felt like this is exactly what was spewed out to us throughout the entire election. Of course, this happened, and other people are just shocked. So, I mean, it's just honestly what's to come on January 20th for the inauguration. I think that they are going to have to come back to the table to figure out exactly what they need to do. We can't even assemble in the streets for the inauguration. So I'm really wondering what's going to happen in the near future. What is it, 2 weeks away?
Yeah, January 20th.
Political experts already saying, and people within, Washington, D.C. already saying that the inauguration, the plan that they've come up with for the inauguration is definitely going to change. It was scaled down as is for the pandemic. And now they're going to have to scale it back even more. And think about the security. I mean, those were the movable barriers were what was up yesterday. I mean, the number of police officers and guardsmen who were in the Capitol, that's going to have to change. So those are plans that they're likely working out over the next few days.
It's crazy.
And along with some of the,
sorry,
Jasmine, really quickly, along with some of the comments that you received, and also Maureen, what you were just saying, Eva says the fact that these violent rioters were able to breach the Capitol building and hardly anything was done. But when peaceful BLM, Black Lives Matter protesters stood in front of the Capitol, it was swarmed with security. Says a lot about where we are as a country right now. And again, we have people on both sides. Some I saw on social media people calling those who were out there patriots. And so we have a lot of people are pretty much processing what happened yesterday and what is still going on. And we'll be doing that for a while. Jasmine, you wanted to add something?
I just was thinking about, I don't know if when's the last time you all have been to Washington, D.C. I went there twice for the Women's March and then the March Against Guns with the school shootings. They have Washington, D.C. so tightly zipped. Like it just blew my mind, honestly, personally. This is my viewpoint of how easy it was to get inside of the Capitol. Like the videos that I watched, there was one security guard trying to defend himself with a stick. I mean, and they were storming in. It just, you don't know the perspective because we weren't there. There could have been hundreds of police officers there trying to defend the Capitol. And that's the tale that I would like to see, the other side of the story of what happened. And, a lot of people are saying nothing was done. I think 54 people were arrested. So I think we can't say nothing was done, but it's definitely, it's the reality of the world right now. The tale of two Americas is what someone described it. And I would agree.
Yeah, and as we close, we do want to note that 4 people did lose their lives. 1 was shot by law enforcement, 3 people medical emergency. So we will continue to cover this throughout the day. Stay with WKYC.com as well as our social media pages for updates. Have an amazing Thursday. We're all in this together. We'll be processing together as well. Have a good day, everyone.